Okay, so welcome to this session. The topic which we are going to cover is how to use financial statements in order to discover strong companies in which you can invest. Okay, so that's the broader theme, and I have tried to keep it in a simple way so that even non-finance people can also understand. Unfortunately, there will be some financial jargons which I cannot help, but I'll try to make sure that it still becomes easy for you to understand and grasp. Okay. Now, what we are going to cover today? We are going to cover few things, right? How to read a profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. What is the importance of these three statements if you are analyzing a particular company? How to spot red flags and green flags in a quick way so that you can understand which is a strong business and which is a weak business. Okay. Now, people, those who are only doing technicals till now, they may find this session a bit on a tougher side because this tells you what is the inherent strength of a business, right? Charts tell you what is the sentiment about the business on that particular day or that particular week or that particular month, right? Then we'll also understand how you can connect these statements in order to gain insights about a business. Because please understand, the biggest thing as an investor, right, is your conviction. A lot of people have good companies in their portfolio, but just because some price correction comes, they sell those companies because they themselves are not sure whatever company they are holding, is it good, bad, ugly, right? For that, you need to understand what is the inherent strength of the business. So, what we'll do, we'll learn the concept and we'll also try to see through a real case study. So, as of now, I have chosen a company called as Shakti Pumps, right? So, what I will do, I'll talk about a concept and then what we'll actually see their numbers. So, then you can correlate theory with practicality, right? Just one more disclaimer. I am not telling you to buy or sell Shakti pumps. This is only for an example so that you know what all things to look for in a company. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Who this session is for, right? So this is for maybe someone who is just starting his investing life, right? Beginner just started investing in stocks, or it can also be good for working professionals, those who want to build wealth along with their career, right? So 9 to 5, they are working, they cannot track the markets on technicals, right? So this is another way in which you figure out companies which are fundamentally strong. You buy and hold and let market show its magic, right? This session will also help traders, those maybe they are good with technicals, but they really want to add one more knowledge element, which is fundamentals. Because if you really want to succeed in stock market, you need four things. Very few people will tell you this, right? You need fundamental, okay? You need technical skills as well, right? Third thing, you need futures and options, right? And fourth, you need risk management. If you can master these four things, nobody can stop your rise as a trader or as an investor. And in India, if you really want to make it big, you need to have four skills. Okay. Chalo, let's start the session. Now, why fundamental matters, right? See, you have to understand one thing. When you are in the markets, there is a lot of noise in the market. Every day, a lot of traders are selling something, buying something. There are news channels, those who are yelling about a particular company. And what I have seen, majority of people invest basis news or those trading tips or through some WhatsApp or Telegram groups. That is a sure short way of losing money. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala used to say a very nice thing. He used to say, "You cannot make money on borrowed conviction." Okay, you cannot make money on borrowed conviction. So you need to be convinced about a particular company on your own, right? That's why fundamental matters, so that you know whatever company you're investing in, is it worth investing it or not? Because please understand, price of a stock is not company's value. Price of a stock is not company's value. Those who track markets, I'll just give you one simple example. Hero Honda, right? Last year it went, I think, from 5,800, 5,700, it went all the way to 4,300. Did anything change in the company? Did they stop making motorcycles? No. They were still making motorcycles. Maybe model change kiya rahega. Still same distributors, still same vendors, right? But price fell from 5,700 odd to 4,300 or even lower, right? Again, it went back. Now I think it is trading close to 6,100 plus. If you don't know about fundamentals of a company, what you will do, you will take decisions basis market noise, basis news cycles, emotion reactions, market sentiments, or buying or selling pressure, which gets built because of the various market participants. Mr. Donald Trump can just give one tweet and again tomorrow all the stocks will fall, right? Why it is important to understand fundamental is because it tells you the real strength of a business. What is the actual revenue growth? What is the real profit margin? How the operating cash flow is there? And what is the business quality and the balance sheet strength? Don't worry if you're not able to understand this terminology, we'll cover this, okay? Because as I already mentioned, you need to have conviction about whatever business you are holding. Do not buy on tips or trends. Do not panic sell when market drops. With fundamentals, you will gain deep understanding of the business and you will be calm during volatility, which will help you build long-term consistent wealth and hence financial freedom. Okay. Now, what creates long-term wealth? You have to also understand that part. There is there is no magic which happens in stocks. There are some elements which moves because of which stock prices goes up and you as an investor make money. First is revenue growth. Hmm? A company hai, now they are selling more products. If they are selling more products to consumers, more revenue is coming in. So there's a strong revenue growth which is happening, right? Second is competitive moats. Means there are some inherent advantage with the company which cannot be copied by competitors. Just to give you one example, let's say Indian Railways. You cannot create another IRCTC. It's not that simple, right? Third, low debt. कम उधारी है कंपनी के ऊपर, right? Fourth, profitability is expanding or margins are expanding. And high ROS. ROS is return on capital employed. And then there are stronger cash flows. You will understand these terms, don't worry. Now, please understand by end of session today, you will understand the story behind any financial statement. One disclaimer, we are not covering banking stocks. Banking stocks work in a bit different way. So that we are not covering, but at least at a high level, you will get to understand the story behind any manufacturing business. You will understand, right? Even IT is okay. Now, one misconception which people have is that if you have to analyze companies, you need to have a CA or an MBA degree. Let me tell you, it is untruth. I was talking to a CFA charter holder, right? CFA charter holder are, you can say, how to explain CFA? Like it's kind of a very good degree as far as finance professionals are concerned. I was talking to that guy about how I manage my futures and options, and he was confused. I asked him, ki, boss, you have done CFA. Then later on, he told me, यार मैंने CFA तो किया है, but practical knowledge नहीं है मेरे को. Because they have read something. They have not implemented that in the market, right? So it's a biggest misconception. What you need is focused approach and practice. There is nothing else which you need. Okay. Now, what is a P&L statement? First, let me show you. What I will do is I will open screener here. So that you get live knowledge, right? So let me open a company, Shakti Pumps only. Okay. Now, when you talk about financial statements, there are three statements which are there. One is a profit loss statement. Okay. Second is balance sheet. And third is cash flow statement. All these numbers tell you a story. Now, first, let's see what is a profit and loss statement. It's mentioned here sales, expense, operating profit. Sales simply means how much product we have sold. It's also called as top line of a company, right? So let's say a shop is there, they sell pencils and they sold 100 pencils. 100 into one pencil is, let's say, 5 rupees. 500 rupees is the sales amount. Now, that's the sales number for that particular company. Okay, so this is the first component. So first is sales. Second is expenses. Now, expenses, if you see, expenses can be of various natures. It can be an employee cost. It can be manufacturing expense. It can be a raw material, right? And other costs. Like in this case, there is something called as a material cost, manufacturing cost or the production facility cost, employee cost, like whatever salary benefits they pay to their employees, their cost, and some other costs. So all these put together becomes expenses. So first parameter is sales. Second component is expenses. Third is operating profit, which is this, right? Sales minus expense is your operating profit. Fourth component is what is the net profit. There is something interest, depreciation, we'll come to that, don't worry. There is something called as profit before tax, and then if you remove tax, then it becomes your net profit. And then you have EPS. EPS is earning per share. So whatever total profit a company is making, that divided by the total number of outstanding shares, that becomes the EPS. Matlab ek shareholder. Because please understand one thing, when you are holding shares of a company, you are a part owner of a company. You will get an email from Mukesh Ambani or promoters like that. Thanks to you, shareholders, I am increasing my salary from 15 crores to 20 crores. Right? So you get those emails, and that gives you a sense of great satisfaction that these big guys are asking me for increasing their salary. Right? Okay, jokes apart. Now let's try to go and understand this in a much deeper way. Okay. So I'll keep it like this only so that we can flip both the things, right? It will be easy for you to understand, and then you will also get a practical knowledge. Now, sales simply means whatever business this company is in, like this company, Shakti Pumps, right? This is in the business of, if you see, pumps, motors, controllers, and some other hydropneumatic or solar structures. That is the business this company is in. Okay. They have also started some work on the EV segment. When you talk about clientele or the customers, majority of their customers or 70% of the customers are governments. So government project is roughly around 69% from where the revenue is coming in. So there is some scheme, PM Kusum scheme, and this company gets benefited because of that particular scheme. Okay, and they have installed some solar pumps across Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, UP, MP, Maharashtra. Okay, then they also export these items. Where they export, let's say Asia is 34% within exports, Africa around 20 odd percent, Middle East 20%, and USA 70, rest of the world 7%. Others is roughly 10% of their business. Maybe it can be a firefighting pumps, sewage or STP management. Some OEMs are also customers like L&T, Mahindra, Adani, Tata Power. They have they have around 500 dealers, right? And they have a manufacturing capacity of manufacturing around 5 lakh pumps and motors in MP. They are also into inverters, and that is their manufacturing capacity. What patents they have. So once you go and you can read all that. Now, whatever product they are selling, they generate revenue out of that or sales out of that project. If you click here, you will see how the sales growth has been for this particular company, right? So if you see March 14 till March 16, it was roughly 250, 270, 300 crores company, right? March 17, 18, 19, 450 to 500 crore company. There was a dip here in 2020, and then suddenly 2021 the company became three times, roughly three times, right? And then it has carried on that momentum. Again, the company has kind of doubled here, right? So this tells you how the sales of this particular company has grown. Now, what are things you have to look for as far as sales is concerned? Are you getting a growth year on year, right? So barring few years, the growth is there, right? So if you see in 11 years since 2014 till 2025, the company has literally maybe made themselves close to 8 9 times, right? Roughly 9 10 9 times maybe roughly 292 say 2516 ho gaya sales. Okay. Now, what all things to watch for? Sales is increasing, but profit is decreasing, right? So if you see here, sales growth. So if I just open a Excel here, so 2014, 2025, right? So sales and profit. 2014 में कितना sales था? 292, right? 25 में कितना है? 2516. So sales is growing at the rate of 21% or 22% year on year. Plus minus thoda bahut upar niche hota hai. That's part of the business, right? Profit is growing 43 and 603. So sales growth is high, profit growth is also very high. Means say profit is growing much faster than sales. So which is kind of a green flag as of now, right? So you understood about sales. Second thing is why sales matter. I think this we already covered. I'll skip this. Second is expenses. So you saw that expenses is basically money run to spend on the business, right? Whether it is employee cost, salary, rent, utilities. The key factor is expense should grow slower than sales. If expenses are growing faster than sales, it means the margins are shrinking and profitability may suffer. So let's see total expenses 249. Where's our Excel? 249 and 1913. 1913. So this is your expenses. So if I just copy, paste here and use this here. So expense is growing at the rate of 20%. Sales is growing at the rate of 22%. So sales growth is much faster as compared to expense growth. Okay. Now, next one. Sales minus your expense or operating profit, it tells you what is your operating profit. It tells you whether the business is efficient or not. High operating profit means the operations are strong or the business is strong. Low profit means there is some operational weakness. Now, you will also notice once you start doing this on a regular basis, you will also see some companies wherein sales growth is there, but expenses are also growing at a much faster pace. Means they are spending money to sell. Either they are giving discounting or they are creating new products every second day so that customer buys a product from them, right? So watch out for such companies. So in this case, it should be, there is no problem. Sales is growing, expenses are growing, but profit is also growing. Now, next one is, what does this operating profit margin tells us? So here, if you see, 603 divided by 2516, that's their operating profit margin, right? Which is close to 24%. If you see in the start, it was close to 15, 16, suddenly it fell to 8. 14 to 16 time frames or that kind of percentage, 15%. Now it has gone up to close to 24%. TTM is trailing 12 months. पिछले 12 महीने में क्या हुआ? Because this March 25 situation is as on March 2025. We are sitting in November, right? So you need to understand what has happened in the past 12 months. So this is a high level summary for that. And you can also look at what is happening in previous quarters, right? 25%, 23%, 20%. मतलब 20% के ऊपर ही प्रॉफिट मार्जिन मेंटेन कर पा रही है पर्टिकुलर कंपनी. ओके. नाउ this tells you whether the company has a pricing power or not, or control over their cost. If OPM is rising, it means company is in a strong competitive position. Even if they increase the price of their product, still they are able to sell. But if you see OPMs are falling or operating profit for a particular company is falling, this means there is either a cost pressure or maybe the competition is also discounting, and then they have to also cut down on the pricing in order to sell the product. It can be both ways. It can be through supplier issue or market forces issue. It can be anything. So you understood sales, you understood expenses, how expenses are growing, you understood about operating profit. Then other income is basically, it can be, let's say, some money received by disposing of some asset, कहीं से कुछ mutual fund से आ रहा है, all those kind of things, right? So it is a very minor portion. But one thing you have to note is other income should be small. Because please understand, all this becomes part of your net profit or profit before tax. I have seen companies wherein operating profit is very low, but other income is maybe 20 times the operating profit. That means this company is selling assets in order to bring a number here, right? So other income should be small, like it includes investments, asset sales, non-core activities. Because if this company stopped selling pumps and all that, whatever they have mentioned, pumps हो गए आपके, motors हो गई, then there is no business. Are you getting it? There is no business then. If they stop selling all these things, there is no business, right? So please note, other income should be on a, it should be small. It should not be very high. If a company, or if in a particular company, other income is very high, it's a big red flag. Okay. If other income is large relative to operating profit, the core business may be weak or inconsistent. There are companies, what they do, those who are in cyclical business. When you talk about cyclical business, it means if, let's say, if fertilizer price is below XYZ amount, I'm just making this up, right? In such years, the company will make money, otherwise it will not make money. Now what they do, in order to maintain their PAT levels or net profit level, they sell off an item in those particular years so as to maintain overall profitability for the business. So it's a big red flag if other income is going high. Okay. Next one, depreciation and interest. So you'll see there is interest and depreciation. Interest simply means whatever loans company has taken, how much interest they have to pay in order to service those loans. जैसे यहाँ पे आप देखिए, it was below 20 crores, it went to 21 crore. Now it has crossed close to 40-45 crores. Okay. Depreciation means the simple wear and tear of a particular company. Whatever machinery plant they have, so they can depreciate those items over a period of few years. So what is the amount? Because that amount can be reduced from your profit before tax. Okay. So depreciation, I'll quickly move ahead, represents asset wear and tear, normal for capital intensive business. Interest means cost of borrowing money. If you see any company which has high interest number versus their operating profit, this means the company has taken a lot of loans. If sales stop, okay, the company may be in a trouble. Now, if you do this minus this minus this minus this, you will get profit before tax. So what is the profit before tax for this particular company? And after deduction of tax and all that, you get something called as a net profit. It is one of the very important number for a shareholder. You see here, profit has literally gone 3 times from 142 to 408 crores. And even on a TTM basis, it is able to manage same profit levels. Now, if you divide your net profit with your number of equity shares, you will get something called as a EPS, which is earning per share, right? The higher this number is, better it is for a shareholder. And what you have to look for is you have to look for the trend. Is the trend moving upward or not? Like if you see here, EPS was 2, close to 12, and 34. Means it's a uptrend, which is very good for a shareholder. Now, after understanding this, if ever, whenever you open this P&L statement again, it will not take you much time to scan through what is happening in this particular business, right? Now, whenever these 4 numbers move together, sales is up, profit is up, net profit is up, and EPS is up. This means it is an indication of a great business, right? So that is one thing which you can check whenever you are searching for any particular company, whether sales is moving up, whether profit is moving up, whether PAT is moving up, and whether EPS is moving up. Now, हाँ, यहाँ पे अब एक चीज नोट करो आप. It gives you that there is a profit of 408 crores. Is it good, bad? Anyone? What do you think? Is it good, bad? Just share your thoughts in comments. What do you think? It is good, bad, ugly, not so good? Till now, company has never done 400 crores. Now the company has done 400 crores as a profit. What do you think? Is it good or bad? So let's see what I had written on the slide. So sales is up massively, which is great. There is a lot of demand for this particular company or the product for this company. OPM is inconsistent, right? कभी 8% है, कभी 3% भी गिरता है बीच में, कभी 7 भी हो रहा है, अभी 24 के आसपास चल रहा है, right? Even on a quarterly basis, you will see here close to 6-7%, then 10%, 14%, and then 20 plus. So it is not a structural consistent OPM. It is kind of fluctuating. Then you will see also one more thing. The interest expenses are increasing for the company. Literally यहाँ पे डबल हो गया है. 19 करोड़ जो इसको इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस था वो 40 करोड़ हो गया है. Even though I will not say this is a red flag, but ठीक है, it's a growing business, so you have to give that benefit of doubt. Now, in order to understand this more deeply, you need to understand two more statements, which is cash flow and balance sheet. As of now, the profit looks strong. Hmm? Let's see if the profit is really strong or not. Let's see that. For that, what we'll do, we'll go to statement number 2, which is balance sheet. Balance sheet simply tells you what the business owns and what the business owes. Means क्या business की जेब में है और क्या इसको बाहर देना है, right? Which is simply is here basically assets and liabilities, right? Uh, People those who have done that session of financial X-ray will meet with me. They will also understand we used to make something called as an income and expense statement, which is kind of this, right? And we also used to make something called as a net worth statement, or what is a net worth, in which we used to figure out what are your assets, what are your liabilities, and then what is the difference. So this works in the same fashion. Now, यहाँ पे आपके की कंपोनेंट्स क्या है? फर्स्ट अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट्स, देन उसको इंप्लीमेंट करना इट विल बी इजी if you are good with the concepts. First is your equity capital. Equity capital is simply means how much capital the company is raising, or how much money is this company is raising from the markets, right? Stable equity means it's a good sign. Consistent equity capital shows that shareholder confidence is there and there is no desperate fundraising. If you see this metric going down drastically, right, this simply means they are liquidating or they are diluting the ownership of a company. The promoters are diluting the ownership of a company. Currently, if you see, if you go to shareholding pattern, currently the promoters still hold 50% of the company. They had done in 2023, they had 56% stake. From there, they went down to 51. Then again, they increased a bit and now currently it is sitting at 50.31. Okay. If you want to know details about this, what they have done, what kind of corporate action they have done, you can click here and you can read that. So in March 24, these many shares were allotted at a premium of 1198 to qualified institutional placement. Some institutional buyer purchased these many number of shares, right? So naturally, if a company is issuing shares, they are raising capital from the markets, right? Unka jo ownership stake hai, that will get diluted, right? That's why this number is increasing. So that's the equity capital. Reserve simply means whatever profits this company is making, are they accumulating those profits, and what is the total sum of those accumulated profits, right? So if you see reserves, this company has reserves worth 1500 crores, 1500 करोड़ का रिजर्व पड़ा हुआ है कंपनी के पास, right? What you have to look for is there any growth in reserves? Hmm? This simply means that real wealth or whatever profit this company is making, it is kind of retaining that profit and kind of reinvesting in the business, right? So if you see here, from 118 crores, the reserves had gone up to close to 1500 crores, more than 10 times, right? 10 or 11, 12 times maybe in these 11 years, right? So there is healthy reserves as far as company is concerned. Next one, debt. Is the debt increasing? Yes, debt is also increasing, or the borrowings, which is the debt. From 100 crores, it is now close to, suddenly if you see here, here is a sudden jump of debt, right? From 170 crore, they have gone to 617 crores, right? You can also click this and further see where they have raised the money. So they have raised the money for short term. Now, this should be a red flag for you as an investor. Why this company is raising so much amount of money for their short term borrowings? Okay. You saw how you can figure out what is happening in the company by just seeing the numbers. From 170, they have gone to 617. If you check this, it is kind of a short term borrowing. Now, one logic would have been maybe, okay, maybe the company wanted to invest in some manufacturing facility or some capital expansion because the sales growth is happening. That's why they would have maybe bought the money. What you can do, you can compare this with your fixed assets. अगर fixed assets में ये number बढ़ रहा होता, means they would have spent this money to build a new, maybe a manufacturing facility, new plant, new godown, new warehouse. But यहाँ पे there is no substantial jump, right? ठीक है, 4 करोड़ से 12 करोड़ हो गया, that's a smaller number. It's not that high. Not 500 crore, they are 400 crore, right? Here also it is minor 20-25 crore. It can be normal day-to-day expenses or maintenance expense. एक आध मशीन नहीं लगा दी, right? यहाँ पे भी आप नंबर देखो, okay? So short-term borrowing are increasing for the company. Wait, अभी इसमें और स्टोरी बनाएंगे. Now, if debt is rising, it signals increased financial risk and leverage. Because please understand, you don't have to think like a person who's holding one share or 10 shares. You have to think as if you are the part owner of a company. So why this is important, why fundamental analysis is important? Because let's say if you are investing 1 crore in a particular company or a 2 crore in a particular company, you need to understand the basics of a particular company, right? Without doing that, you will not have conviction. Should I invest my hard earned money into this particular company, or should I buy this company's shares or not? Right? Okay. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now, if debt is rising, it's a signal that there is an increased financial risk. If debt is falling, means the balance sheet is becoming much more stronger. Now, fixed assets we already covered. So what they tell you, high fixed asset typically indicate manufacturing or capital intensive operations. If fixed asset is also increasing, this means they are expanding their capacity in order to meet the future demand. So when I say capacity expansion, एक फैक्ट्री है वो पेंसिल बनाती है. Their manufacturing capacity is 10,000 pencils per day, but the market demand is coming for 20,000 pencils per day. If they want to sell 20,000 pencils per day, they first need to manufacture those pencils, right? Otherwise, how will they sell those pencils? So that's why sales growth करनी है तो कई बार company has to invest in fixed assets. So which is not bad, which is a normal course of business, right? Okay. Now, if you note one more thing here, let me hide this for the time being. If you note one more thing here, okay, पहले ये कर लेते हैं. Current assets क्या क्या होता है? Current assets अगर हम बात करें कंपनी का, it has inventory, which is you have made the product, but it is not sold. It is lying in your warehouse. Receivables. You have sold the product, but you have not received the money. And then cash, which is liquid funds available with the company. Now, note one thing here. Trade receivables. Trade receivable means market से कितना पैसा लेना है आपको. See here. 1600 करोड़ रुपए इनको मार्केट से लेना है. When I say मार्केट से लेना है, कस्टमर से लेना है. Right? You can further drill this down. If you see maybe this March 2025, 1000 crores, 91 crore ऐसा है जो पिछले 6 महीने से पेंडिंग है. 977 crore ऐसा है जो 6 महीने से कम पेंडिंग है. मतलब आपने जनवरी में माल बेचा, पंप मोटर वॉट एवर इट इज, राइट. आप जुलाई तक वेट ही कर रहे हो, पैसा तो दे दो यार, राइट. So this creates pressure on the financials of a company. That's why there is a need for this short-term borrowing, right? Because they cannot stop the manufacturing. They need to buy raw material. They need to pay salaries. But whatever product they are selling, the money is getting stuck. Now, one important reason for that in this particular company is because government is the main client. Right? What you noticed here, 70% or 69% of the business goes to government. There will be delays as far as payment is concerned. Okay? अभी देखो भी आपको इसमें और insights मिलेंगे by just reading these numbers. Hope you are getting insights. अगर आपने इस कंपनी के बारे में कभी नहीं पढ़ा होगा, now you are able to make a now you are able to picturize what is happening in this particular company. Okay, but by just seeing these numbers. Okay, now high payable indicates potential cash stress and strained vendor relationships, right? So ये हो गया आपका जो इनको रिसीव करना है फ्रॉम द वेरियस पार्टीज. 19 करोड़ तो बोल रहे हो पैसा आएगा, ये भूल जाओ, उन्होंने नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट में डाल दिया, राइट. बाकी थोड़ा बहुत ये 160 करोड़ का कैश पड़ा हुआ है कंपनी के पास, राइट. नाउ what does balance sheet tells us? It tells us the strength of a company, how the asset quality is, whether debt is in under control or not, and what can be the potential risk for this company? For this company, the biggest risk is their receivables. Okay, because this receivable, if you see, this is equal to their more than 2 years of profit. The money is not coming in, right? This is kind of a paper profit. इनवॉइस हुआ, ये वो प्रॉफिट है, जेब में पैसा नहीं आया है, वो 6 महीने 9 महीने के बाद ही आएगा. But that's the challenge for this particular business, right? Now, let's move ahead. So this is just, I've just summarized. So reserves are growing fast, so which is a good thing. Debt is rising, short-term borrowings, which is an increased financial risk. Major cash stuck in operations. Okay. And there is a strain on the working capital, because if you don't get the amount of money which is due on time, you need to borrow money from the market and pay interest, right? So that's the challenge for this particular company. Now, let's see the third statement, which is cash flow statement. So अभी तक आपने दो statement देखा, profit loss, balance sheet. Now you will see cash flow statement, which is this. Now, cash flow statement, if you see, okay, before I go there, it actually tracks when cash is entering and exiting a business. Because please understand, profit is not equal to cash. This company has made a profit of 400 crores. But still, for their day-to-day expenses, they are borrowing money. Cash is the only truth. Now imagine a company like TCS. They throw a cash flow of 40,000 crores, 50,000 crores. That's how the strong that company is. Now there are three kind of cash flow. If you see here, there are three things here: cash flow from operating activity, cash from investing activity, and cash from financing activity. Okay, before I go there, cash from operating activity simply means whatever business this company is in, they are the business of pumps, motors, inverters, and all that. How much cash this company is generating? How much cash this company is generating? Not the profit. How much cash? March 25 में, what was the profit? March 2025, the profit was 408 crores, right? And what is the cash flow in March 25? 20 crores only. वो 20 करोड़ भी मुझे लगता है डेप्रिसिएशन का होगा, बिकॉज डेप्रिसिएशन एक्चुअल में कटता नहीं है, right? And when you actually see the cash flow statement, this gets added to your net profit. Okay, because depreciation is more like a notional expense. खाली पेपर पे एक्सपेंस होता है, रियलिटी में नहीं होता ना. आपने आज एक कुर्सी लिया 100 रुपए का, तो आज तो आपने एक्सपेंस कर दिया कुर्सी का, बट पेपर में आप हर साल दिखाते हो उस कुर्सी पे 10-10 रुपए का मैं एक्सपेंस दिखा रहा हूँ in order to reduce my profit, right? And when you make cash flow statement, depreciation gets added to your profit. That's how it comes here, right? So see, even after making 400 crores profit, there is a cash crunch as far as cash flow from operations is concerned. Okay, which is a very big red flag. As an investor, what you need to look for is, you have to look if CFO is greater than PAT. When I say CFO, CFO means this: cash flow from operations. If it is greater than your PAT, right? If it is greater than your PAT. If CFO is greater than your PAT, it simply means it is a very, very efficient business. If it is equal or even if it is 70% versus your PAT, that is also a decent enough business, right? Otherwise, you will not get companies to invest in. Okay. If it is higher, it is very good. If it is ठीक है यार मतलब 80% तो convert हो ही रहा है cash में, that's also good, right? So if CFO is greater than PAT, it means it's an excellent business health. If CFO is less than PAT, CFO is this number, cash flow from operations, right? If it is less than your PAT, it means it's a major red flag. And this is one of the most important metric for assessing real financial performance of a company. Okay. Now, next one. So this is the first line item which we did, cash flow from operations. Second line item is cash from investing activity. It is not investing as in investing. It simply means whether the company has sold assets, purchased assets, or maybe interest received. Now, please understand, if a company has purchased asset, means the company has given money out. That's why this number will be a negative number. If the company has sold assets, मतलब factory बेच दी एक, then this number will be a positive number. Okay. Now, negative CFI means company is investing in growth through capex and asset purchases. Now, just think like a promoter. Let's say you are a promoter for this particular company. आप देख रहे हो हाँ यार सेल तो मेरी डबल हो गई, अगले साल और बढ़ेगी. If I have to plan for 2030, I need to purchase some land at least or invest in some machinery because machinery will have its own lead time, right? ऐसा तो है नहीं आप बाजार में गए मशीन उठा के ले आए. You maybe they are using some specialized equipments जहाँ पे आपको vendor को order देना पड़ेगा. Even they will have their 6 to 8 months of lead time. If you don't do that today, how the vendor will give you machinery, plant, everything set up by 2028? नहीं कर पाएगा ना. So अगर आपको 2028 के लिए भी कैपेसिटी अपनी एक्सपैंड करनी है, you have to start today, right? So that's why this is there, cash from investing activity. We said investing because ये future growth के लिए आप invest कर रहे हो, right? So negative says companies investing in growth through capex or asset purchases. Positive CFI means company is selling assets. बिल्डिंग बेच दी, पैसे कम पड़ रहे हैं, लोन मिल नहीं रहा, बिल्डिंग बेच दो, एक जमीन का टुकड़ा बेच दो, right? Means there is some potential distress. So this tells you about acquisition, strategic asset deployment, and all those kind of things, right? Which is CFI. Third thing is your financing activities. कुछ अगर शेयर बेचे उससे कितना पैसा आया, जैसे आपने पीछे पढ़ा कि इस कंपनी ने अपना इक्विटी डाइल्यूट किया था यहाँ पे, राइट? उससे इसको 200 करोड़ के आसपास मिला, राइट? Are you now able to get that relation between each and every transaction which is happening, right? बोरो किया पैसा उससे कुछ मिला, रिपेमेंट ऑफ बोरोइंग, जो इतना लोन उठाया है उसको भी तो चुकाना है, दैट्स व्हाई. इंटरेस्ट कितना पे किया, डिविडेंड पे किया कि नहीं, all those things are here. Now if you add all three of them, this tells you what is the net cash flow for this particular company. Now just to summarize, CFO tells about operational performance as far as whatever business this company is in, how the operational performance of that company is. CFI tells you about the future growth plans, growth and investment strategy for the particular company. Because if a company is purchasing assets, investing in buildings, it means there is future for the company. Otherwise, promoters are very smart because they know about the company more than you or any other investor, because they are in this business 24/7. हाँ, उसको पता है यार मुझे कंपनी तो बंद करने में एसेट क्यों लूं, मैं क्यों पैसा उड़ाऊं उसमें, राइट? So this gives you some idea about what is happening in the company. And third is cash flow from financing, which tells you how's the funding pattern, right? Now, this we already saw. So this is kind of where you are seeing these three statements together and drawing conclusions, right? Because if you really want to have a good investor acumen, you have to believe your own study only. Okay? 90% of the people, those who will have this insight, will know what to do. Hmm? It is one of the major red flag for this particular company. But let's say if they are able to manage this and maintain the kind of growth which they are currently doing, this can be a very good stock, right? Now, let's move ahead. Now, there are some ratios which are also there. So I'll quickly try to explain this. You have debtor days, right? Debtor days is average days to collect payment from customers. 150 दिन लगता है on an average. कोई 30 दिन में देगा, कोई 500 दिन में देगा, कोई 20 दिन में देगा, कोई 1000 दिन में देगा. On an average 150 दिन लगता है कंपनी को पैसा इकट्ठा करने के लिए from their customers. The goal, if you go in depth into the business, the goal of the company is they want to bring this to 120 days for now, because even they know that it's a government projects, so money will take time to come, right? So this is debtor days, average days to collect payment from customers. Second is inventory days. This one, this number 80. It simply means कितने दिन तक माल वहां पे पड़ा रहता है गोडाउन में on an average before it gets sold. 80 दिन तक माल पड़ा रहता है गोडाउन में, राइट? बीच में तो 200-300 दिन भी था, देखो. From 300 दिन they have bought to 80 days, which is actually a commendation for the management. Imagine करो, today you make a product नवंबर 25 में, वो अक्टूबर या नवंबर 26 में बिकेगा. सोचो, एक साल तक इन्वेंट्री पड़ी रहेगी. ओके. High inventory means slow turnover and capital is tied to unsold goods. Let's say you put all the money, the material, raw material, labor, everything. Product is made. जब तक वो बिकेगा नहीं, you will not get money. Understand it. There is as money is getting stuck in your inventory. Third is days payable. आप अपने suppliers को अंडरस्टैंड, दिस इज कस्टमर जिसको आप प्रोडक्ट बेच रहे हो. डेज पेबल इज फॉर द सप्लायर्स और वेंडर्स विच दिस कंपनी हैज. उनको कितने दिन में पेमेंट दे रहे हो? उनको ये अभी 108 दिन में पेमेंट दे रहे हैं. मतलब मोटा मोटी 3 महीने का, 3 से 3.5 महीने का क्रेडिट साइकिल. ओके. So the shorter it is, better it is for a company. Now यहां पे आप देखो, 1 रुपए को कन्वर्ट और 1 रुपए को बिजनेस में लाने के लिए टाइम फॉर 1 रुपी टू रिटर्न एज कैश इज क्लोज टू 124 days. बिकॉज इन तीनों का कॉम्बिनेशन लेके ये 124 दिन लगता है टू कन्वर्ट ए 1 रुपी एज कैश. There are businesses where this number is negative, means वो सारा पैसा एडवांस में ले लेते हैं. ओके, सो वहां पे ये सब पंगा नहीं है. सो नेगेटिव cash conversion cycle means it's a world class efficient company. So it combines your debtor, inventory, and payable days to measure the overall working capital efficiency. Then comes ROCE, which is return on capital employed. यहां देखो ये 55% दिखा रहा है आपको कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड, राइट. कहने को तो स्ट्रॉन्ग कॉस्ट एडवांटेज है बट पैसा ही नहीं है, राइट. दिस इज हाउ यू कैन relate different ratios together. On paper, it looks very strong. Wow, the ROCE is going from 10% to 55%. But money is not there, right? Because all the money is getting stuck in your trade receivables. 1600 करोड़ रुपए इसको उठाना है मार्केट से, 1000 करोड़, which is if you see पिछले प्रॉफिट कहाँ गया, कितने महीनों का प्रॉफिट है. ओके, सो very high debtor days, customers are taking too long to pay, cash is locked in operations, strong but cyclical, fluctuates with market conditions, cash flow is very weak, profit is not converting to actual cash, right? Now please understand, this is the same system which analysts use to find safe and risky companies, right? Because as I already said in the start, you cannot make money on the borrowed conviction. Conviction आपका खुद का होना चाहिए, right? Now, what all things you can check as an investor? How's the sales trend? Whether consistent revenue growth is happening or not, which tells you that there is a strong demand for the product. Hmm? Because if there is no strong demand for a product, the sales number will fall, which is their top line. Second is the profit increasing or not? It tells you whether demand hai and are the costs under control. Because if costs are not under control, profit will fall because expense will go up. Second, third thing which you can check, how's the balance sheet? Whether it is low debt or strong. Fourth is cash flow reality. पैसा एक्चुअल में कंपनी में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है, राइट. एंड देन हाउ इज द वर्किंग कैपिटल एफिशिएंसी. CCC means cash is not trapped. And when, how's the ROCE. नाउ हेल्थी कंपनी का क्या होगा, सेल्स बढ़ेगा, प्रॉफिट ग्रो करेगा, ओपीएम या तो स्टेबल रहेगा, ओपीएम इज ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट मार्जिन, आइदर इट विल बी स्टेबल और rising. Okay, the lesser the debt means there is low financial risk. Strong CFO means there is a robust cash generation which is happening in the company, which is not the case in this. Cash conversion should be shrinking, whether in terms of, you have to see the total sum, whether you do it through debtor days reduction, inventory reduction, or by paying your suppliers maybe late or on time, whatever it is, right? And then growth should be more than 15%. Now, what are the red flags you have to watch out for? Sales is going up, but profit is going down. Means there is unsustainable growth. खाली डिस्काउंट देके माल बेच रहे हैं. Profit is high, but CFO is low. Means profits are not converting into cash. It can also be some kind of accounting tricks. So आज तो हम explain नहीं करेंगे, like in our detailed mentorship, we talk about something called as forensics accounting, in which You learn about the forensically, you audit the entire cash flow, balance sheet, and profit and loss statement in order to figure out कहीं पे accounting में game तो नहीं खेली गई है. Okay. Third thing you have to check is rising debtor days. Customers are delaying payments means there is some credit quality issue. Fourth, whether inventory is piling up or not. Because if there is inventory piling up, it simply means there is no demand for your product or you are not competitive. Unsold product means there is demand concern. Fourth is high level of debt. एक जो बंदा है, he becomes stressed because when he has too much debt, company works in the same fashion. If a company has too high debt levels, it means there is financial stress and there is a risk for bankruptcy. Fourth parameter or fifth parameter is ROS if it is less than 10%. थोड़ा दूर रहो उन कंपनी से, right? Because it simply means there is poor capital efficiency, right? Now there are a lot of companies which, if you see, if I go to screener, if I just go to screens and do ROS less than 10, 2,500 कंपनीज हैं आपकी. Why people lose money is because they invest in such companies, right? And second thing, what they do, they search for such companies, 20 पैसे 30 पैसे वाली companies. There are n number of companies which are there. See, but unless and until you don't know how good or bad the business is, you cannot move ahead. Ideally, you should not move ahead. मेरे बोलने से कोई रुकेगा तो नहीं ना. Ideally, you should not move ahead because please understand, मार्केट्स में अगर पैसा बनाना है तो पहला चीज यू शुड रिमेंबर पैसा बचाना कैसे है और हाउ टू प्रोटेक्ट योर कैपिटल. फॉर प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ योर कैपिटल you need to have in-depth knowledge. In the start, I discussed about you need to have four skills: technical, fundamental, F&O, and risk management. All four skills are required because market will demand efficiency and fluency. वो खाली वो एक किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, हाँ भैया ये इसके हिसाब से खरीद लो, आपने अच्छा खासा अमाउंट डाल दिया, अब ना वो व्हाट्सएप भेजने वाला मिलेगा ना आप मिलोगे, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई समझो, सीखो, उसके बाद इस पे आप एक्शन लो, राइट? बिकॉज बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज है मार्केट में, बट बहुत सारे धोखे भी हैं. लाइक आई विल नॉट टेल यू दैट इट इज ओनली गुडी गुडी. देयर आर सम challenges also which people don't realize when they are very very new, right? Okay, let's move ahead. Now, to some extent, hope the session was useful, and now at least you got some idea about fundamental analysis, right? Still, you need to learn a lot of things, right? Still, there will be knowledge gaps between you and financial freedom, right? Even after figuring out whether the company is right or not, you have to also understand, is the whatever price you are paying, is that the right price for this particular company? Do you have any method to figure that out? Ask yourself. How to create a portfolio? Okay. How to enter and exit a stock using technicals? Because please understand, fundamental can help you figure out which companies are good, what price you should pay for that. But technical will tell you when to enter, when to exit. That is why these two skills go hand in hand, right? There will be cases or there will be instances in your financial life wherein things will not move as per your uh, the way you want things to move. Then you need those option hedging and risk management strategies, right? So that you can create an entire financial freedom plan for yourself. Okay. Now, just imagine what if you had a mentor, right? So let me tell you, I do run a program which is basically a 12-month mentorship, right? And we go through each and every parameter, whether it is fundamental, like अभी तो मैंने आपको एक सेशन में फंडामेंटल कराया है, or the basics of fundamental we have discussed. We go through around 8 to 10 classes only for the fundamental. Okay, so that you gain in-depth knowledge what all things to check for. Hmm? We also go in-depth same way into technicals, F&O, including adjustments, and then maybe the personal finance as well. It's a 12-month program, right? It's because I know no change will happen in 1 or 2 months. जब तक आप सीखोगे 1 महीना बीत जाएगा, right? Real knowledge comes once you learn, implement, and then course correct. That is why it's a 12-month program. It is not a 1 day program or a 1 week program or just attend these 2 hour session and your life will change. It will not change. Let me be very frank with you, right? Uh, and I have 100% confidence that this can change your financial life. Hmm? The total overall value perspective, if you see, it's close to worth 3 lakh rupees. Hmm? Because the time you start enter into the program, within 1 or 2 months you can start generating cash for yourself. I can give you that guarantee, but this is not for everyone, right? I really need very committed people, because if I am going to give you 1 year of my life, okay, every week we'll connect, I need some good guys. Like, I'm not looking out for any person, right? So if you really are interested, I will suggest you book a call, and then this is not, you don't have to pay 3 lakh rupees. Don't worry. It is much smaller than this, right? What I would suggest is, if you are really interested for this mentorship, just book a one-to-one call. Let's see if we fit together. Hmm? And then we can take it from there. Let me know if you have any questions. So I have just given you a link. So you can book one-to-one call, and we can discuss over there. Any questions, doubts? See, 1 hour, see how much you learned in just 1 hour. Now imagine you learning with fellow members for 12 months, practicing, coming up with your doubts, how much knowledge you will have. So I've already given you the link. So if you are really interested for the mentorship, uh, do book a one-to-one call, and we can discuss over there if you are the right fit or not. Any doubts, any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, thank you very much, guys. Hope the session was useful. So I've already given the link. If you want to book a one-to-one call, you can book, and I'll meet those guys in one-to-one call, and then we'll discuss how to take things ahead. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Take care.